The average American household earns more today than at any point in history, and yet most people feel like they're falling behind. That's not a coincidence. Something is quietly draining your wealth, and it's probably been happening for years. I'm Grace, and in this video, we're going through the 5 wealth killers that keep hardworking people broke for decades. These aren't fringe mistakes. They're normal, socially encouraged decisions that feel fine in the moment, but compound into financial disasters over time. We're covering high-interest debt, cars, avoiding the market, lifestyle creep, and one that almost nobody talks about, but that single event can erase more wealth than all the others combined. Wealth killer number 1. High-interest debt. The average credit card APR is now 22.3%. And nearly half of all cardholders carry a balance month to month. Here is the math that credit card companies hope you never do. A $10,000 balance at minimum payments takes decades to clear, and you end up paying 2 to 3 times the original amount. You bought the same stuff multiple times over. But here's what stings more. If you had invested that money instead, at an 8% average annual return, you'd have over $100,000 in 30 years. That gap is the real cost of carrying that balance, not just the interest, the opportunity you gave up. The fix is simple to say and hard to do. Eliminate high-interest debt as fast as possible and don't carry a balance again. Mathematically, pay the highest interest rate first. If you need momentum, start with the smallest balance. Either way, get it gone. Wealth killer number 2 is sitting in most people's driveways. The average new car payment in America has now hit around $770 a month, and that number keeps climbing. A new car loses 10 to 20% of its value the moment you drive off the lot. By year 5, it's worth roughly half what you paid. You're financing an asset that is guaranteed to lose money faster than almost anything else you could buy. Add insurance, gas, maintenance, and registration, and the American Automobile Association puts the real annual cost of owning a new car at nearly $12,000. Now consider this. That $770 monthly payment, invested instead at 8% annual returns, grows to over $850,000 in 30 years. Most people cycle through several cars in that window. The total cost is staggering, and most of it is invisible because it's just the normal thing to do. The smarter move is to buy a car that is 3 to 5 years old. At that point, the original buyer has absorbed the brutal early depreciation. You get a reliable vehicle at a fraction of the new price. Target around 30,000 miles or under. Pay cash if you can, and if you finance, use the shortest loan term you can manage. Warren Buffett drove the same car for decades. A lot of the people quietly building serious wealth drive modest, paid-off vehicles. The status signal is pointing in the wrong direction. The goal isn't a broken-down beater. It's dependable transportation that doesn't drain your wealth every single month. Wealth killer number 3 is the one people convince themselves is the cautious choice, staying out of the market, not investing or waiting for the right time to start. It feels safe. The math says otherwise. Fidelity studied what happened to a $10,000 S&P 500 investment starting in 1988. Fully invested the whole time, over $500,000. Miss just the 5 best days in that entire period, your gains drop 38%. Miss the 10 best days, down 55%. Miss 30 of the best days, down 83%. Here's the part that matters. Those best days don't happen on calm, confident market days. They cluster right after crashes, when fear is at its peak and the average investor has already sold. The people who panic out miss the recovery entirely. They end up selling low and buying back high, which is the exact opposite of what builds wealth. The S&P 500 has averaged around 10% annually for a century, through the Great Depression, 2 world wars, multiple recessions, and every crisis since. Patient investors who stayed the course built serious wealth. The ones who kept waiting for the right moment mostly kept waiting. Every year you wait, compound growth works against you instead of for you. $1 invested at age 20 has the potential to become around $88 by retirement. That's the power of decades of compounding at 10%. Wait until 25, and that multiplier drops to around 44. Wait until 35, and it's closer to 11. The math doesn't forgive delay. Even $50 a month invested now beats waiting for the perfect moment with $1,000. Start with whatever you have. Wealth killer number 4 is the most deceptive on the list because it feels like progress. According to Goldman Sachs, 40% of Americans earning over $500,000 a year say they live paycheck to paycheck. Income alone does not build wealth. What you do with income does. You get a raise. You upgrade the apartment. The car follows. The restaurants get nicer. Each decision feels reasonable on its own. You've earned it. But every upgrade resets your baseline. The expensive apartment becomes your new minimum. The car payment becomes a fixed cost. You've quietly given yourself a pay cut disguised as a promotion. Here is where lifestyle creep becomes devastating, and most people never see the math. Adding just $500 a month to your housing costs instead of investing it doesn't cost you $6,000 a year. At 8% growth over 30 years, that decision costs you over $600,000. Run the same math on a car upgrade that adds $400 a month, another nearly $500,000 in missed wealth. Combined, one round of lifestyle upgrades can cost over $1 million in compounding you will never get back. The wealthy run this math before they upgrade. They increase savings contributions first, then adjust lifestyle. That order is everything. One framework that works, the 60-40 rule. When you get a raise or any income boost, direct 60% towards savings and investments before anything else. The other 40% is yours to enjoy however you want. Automate the 60% so it moves to your investment accounts the moment your paycheck hits. If you never see it in your checking account, you don't spend it. This way, you're actually improving your life and building wealth at the same time, instead of just feeling richer while standing still. Now for wealth killer number 5. This one is the most expensive single event on the list, and it's one that almost no personal finance channel talks about honestly. Divorce. 40 to 50% of first marriages in the US end in divorce. Second marriages fail at 60%. Third marriages, 73%. And yet fewer than 1 in 5 married couples sign a prenuptial agreement. Research puts the average divorce cost between $10,000 to $15,000, and that's before child support, alimony, or the bill in contested cases involving real assets, which can run into the tens of thousands or higher. If one partner has significantly more assets, losing 50% of everything can set wealth building by decades. But the visible costs are only part of the damage. Selling a shared home often means realtor fees, closing costs, and potentially selling in a down market you didn't choose. Splitting retirement accounts requires court orders and can trigger early withdrawal penalties. A business started during the marriage may be classified as marital property, and getting it professionally valued alone costs $5,000 to $15,000. And then there are the mental health costs, therapy, recovery time, and the impact of emotional stress on your ability to earn and focus. A prenuptial agreement isn't unromantic. It's a financial plan for one of the most consequential decisions you will ever make. Fewer than 1 in 5 couples sign one, despite the statistics. A prenup protects each partner's existing assets, shields against the other's debts, and establishes clear expectations before emotions are running high. Who you choose to marry and how intentionally you approach that decision may be the single highest leverage financial choice of your life. It can multiply your wealth or cut it in half overnight. Behind every one of these wealth killers is the same root problem: no plan. People carry credit card balances because they have no spending framework. They fall into lifestyle creep because they have no savings target. They avoid the market because they have no clear next step. A plan doesn't have to be complex, it just has to exist. Here is what makes these 5 wealth killers so dangerous in combination. They don't just add up, they multiply. Consider someone carrying an $8,000 credit card balance, a new car payment, and nothing invested in the market. They're paying over $1,700 a year in credit card interest alone. Their car is costing nearly $12,000 annually in total ownership costs, and every dollar not invested is missing years of compound growth at 8%. Run those 3 together over 20 years, and the combined missed wealth clears $500,000 from what most people would describe as a normal financial life. That's the trap. It feels normal because everyone around you is doing the same thing. 5 wealth killers. Eliminate high-interest debt as fast as possible and stay out of it. Buy reliable used cars and stop financing your way into depreciating assets. Get invested in the market now and stay invested. The best days come when you least expect them. Apply the 60-40 rule every time your income increases. And approach marriage with the same intentionality you'd give any major financial decision. Avoid these 5 and you are already ahead of most people in this country. Not because of some complicated strategy, but because you stopped doing the things that quietly drain wealth for decades. Which of these 5 are costing you the most right now? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious what resonates. If this one was useful, the like button helps more people find it. Welcome to Grace Investing, and I'll see you in the next one.